So some revelations have come out from the case in the last couple of days. Steve, who is Kaylee's father, has actually been speaking and has actually let a few things slip. And this could actually hamper getting justice for his daughter and the other victims as well. So let me read a report, let me read some stuff that has come out. And it's all about, at the moment, the 2 surviving roommates. So, from what Steve has been saying, and this has come from court sources as well, the Idaho massacre survivors were texting while housemates were killed. Now that's been a real big thing that has been questioned by a lot of people. Who was awake? Who was asleep? Were they woken up? So this has been leaked, and according to the Air Mail report, Steve has been told that the other 2 survivors allegedly had not only been awake during the killings, but had heard everything. Which rings alarm bells about why they didn't act either A, during, and especially afterwards. Why did it take so long for that call to be made? And it continues, more astonishingly, his grand jury sources alleged that the 2 girls had been texting one another as the murderer went from one room to the next. So they're hearing the noise. What were the texts being sent? Will we find out the text between them during the trial? I believe we will. Anyway, there's more to this. One of the surviving housemates as well, on the 2nd floor of the 3-story house, remember there's 3 stories here, saw something suspicious, according to court documents, and told police she awoke to noises around 4 a.m. She thought Kaylee was playing with the dog on the 3rd floor, while police would eventually discover the bodies of Kaylee and Mogan in the upstairs bedroom. That's Madison Mogan in the upstairs bedroom. The survivor also said she thought she heard Kaylee say, "There's someone here." And during the leaked Ring doorbell recording that I heard, you actually do hear that kind of said. At the time I was thinking, people are writing texts on it. Are you thinking you've heard that because of the text, and your brain plays that trick on you where you think you might have heard something? But that is according to the probable cause affidavit. But when she peeked out of her bedroom, she didn't see anything. So put yourself in the surviving roommate's sort of shoes and say to yourself, if you heard noises at that hour, would you go and investigate, or would you just leave it and go back to bed? Would you text your roommate, or again, would you go back to bed? Because it's easy to look at the case now and to see what's happened after this and to feel we might have done something a certain way. But let me know in the comments what you would have done in this situation. Anyway, it continues here. So Canodal was still alive after investigators determined she was on TikTok on her phone at 4:12 a.m. So we're starting to get a bit more of the timeline of when the murders potentially happened as well. The housemate also claimed as well she eventually heard crying from Canodal's room, which was on the same floor as her own room. So if you're hearing this crying, why are you not going to investigate? That rings a lot of alarm bells to me. If you are in a student accommodation and you hear your friend and roommate crying, you are probably going to go and see if they're okay. Now this is where it gets really freaky, and again on the leaked footage from the Ring doorbell you hear this as well. So what is being said now, the roommate opened her door and heard a male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." She opened her door for the 3rd time when a masked man in dark clothes with bushy eyebrows walked by her and left through the rear sliding door, according to court documents. This man is obviously believed to be Brian, and as I've said before, innocent until proven guilty. So, allegedly, this was Brian walking past her. So the surviving roommates, or one of the surviving roommates, the person who saw potentially Brian walking past, said she was frozen in shock. Now this is believable. if something like this has potentially happened, it's going to affect people in different ways. It's the whole fight or flight situation. So I think a lot of people will be frozen in shock. A lot of people will be quite reactive and will be rushing around to see what's happened to try and get help as quick as possible. But it rings a lot of alarm bells to me. I think I would have to go and investigate to see what has happened. So what the investigators are saying now is they believe that all the housemates were stabbed and killed by 4:25 a.m. That's the kind of timeline they're saying now when they believe all victims were killed. So between the hours of 4:25 a.m. and when the 911 call was not made until just before noon that morning, what has happened since then? Has the surviving roommate spoke to the other roommate? Have they gone to investigate? Have they seen stuff? Have they not been able to see stuff? Have they both been in shock? The other surviving roommate, however, has not really been mentioned that much in court documents. So what part were they playing during the whole of this as well? I think the court case is going to continue. I believe Brian Kohberger is due back in court on October the 26th this year. And at that point, the judge is going to hear arrangements of the defence request to dismiss the indictment. So let me know in the comments, guys, your thoughts on this. Why have we not heard much about the other surviving roommate? Were they asleep at the time? Did they not actually know anything until they woke up just before noon on Sunday morning? Why do you feel the roommate who heard crying, the roommate who saw the alleged murderer walk past her at the time, did not act? What would you have done in this situation?